Have you ever wondered about that elusive moment, the one that separates being alive from not? It's a question humanity has grappled with since the dawn of time, often wrapped in mystery and shadowed by fear. Tonight, as the world outside settles into a quiet slumber, let's gently pull back that veil and explore what it really means to cross that threshold. It's a deeply personal journey, this understanding of an event that awaits us all, yet remains so profoundly misunderstood. For centuries, the stopping of a heartbeat was the final marker. The heart, that tireless drum of life, falling silent meant the end. But medicine, with its relentless curiosity and ever-advancing tools, has shown us that the story is far more nuanced, more intricate than a flat line on a screen. Imagine the body as a vast, complex orchestra. The heart is certainly the conductor, setting the rhythm for everything else. But what if the conductor pauses? Yet the instruments still hold a faint resonance, a lingering echo of the music. This is where the idea of clinical death enters the picture. Picture someone collapsing, their heart no longer beating, their chest no longer rising. To the untrained eye, to the panicked family member, this is it, the end. But in those critical moments, a window still exists. Emergency teams, with fast hands and practiced precision, can sometimes bring that heart back. They can return the conductor to the podium, coaxing the orchestra to resume its symphony. We've all heard the stories, maybe even witnessed them ourselves, of people pulled back from the brink, lives restored after minutes, sometimes longer, of what we once believed was the point of no return. It's a testament to the human body's incredible resilience and the unwavering commitment of those who fight for every single heartbeat. But then, what is the point of no return? If the heart can be restarted, what truly marks the end of existence? That leads us into the deeper, more sobering truth of biological death. Think of it not as a single switch flipped off, but as a chain reaction, a slow dimming of the lights across a vast city. When the heart stops, blood, rich with oxygen, no longer reaches the cells that depend on it. Like a city losing power, the most sensitive systems begin to fail first. The brain, the seat of consciousness, is especially vulnerable. Within minutes, its intricate electric patterns, the very essence of our thoughts, our memories, begin to flicker and fade. Then comes the chain reaction. Cells starved of oxygen begin to suffocate and die. This is cellular death. As more and more cells in a region fail, tissues begin to fall apart. That's tissue death. And eventually, the collapse spreads across the entire body until the whole system fails. That is biological death. It's a process, a slow unfolding, not a sudden disappearance. Think of life as a richly woven tapestry. When life ends, it's not like the entire tapestry unravels all at once. Threads begin to fray, then sections start to sag and lose form, until finally, the whole beautiful structure falls away. This understanding is why timing matters so much in cases of clinical death, why every single second matters. The longer the brain and other vital organs go without oxygen, the harder it is to bring someone back without damage that might last a lifetime. And then, the silence. The true silence. The kind that follows not a pause, but an ending. When the final spark of brain activity fades, something changes. And yet, even in that stillness, something else begins. A different kind of process, quieter, slower, no less intricate. Because even after life, as we define it, comes to a close, the body continues on in its own mysterious way. The journey isn't really over, it simply transforms. We've just explored that delicate boundary between life and its cessation, recognizing that the moment of death isn't always a singular, abrupt event, but often a gradual surrender. Now, as the last echoes of life fade, another process begins, one that might seem unsettling at first glance, but is in truth a profound, intricate dance of nature. The body's silent symphony of dissolution. It's a transformation, a return, and in its own way, incredibly beautiful. Imagine for a moment the body not as a static entity, but as a bustling city, teeming with billions of tiny inhabitants, our cells. Throughout life, these cells work in perfect harmony, each with its designated role, maintaining the intricate balance that keeps us alive. But when life leaves, the central command is gone, and the city begins to experience a quiet, internal revolution. The first act in this posthumous drama is a process known as apoptosis, or programmed cell death. This isn't a violent rupture, but a highly orchestrated self-dismantling. Think of it like a meticulous, pre-planned demolition. Cells, sensing the absence of vital signals and the accumulation of waste products, essentially trigger their own tidy exit. They shrink. Their internal components neatly package themselves into tiny sacs, and then they're quietly absorbed by neighboring cells or specialized scavenger cells that are still active for a short while. It's an incredibly efficient and clean process designed to minimize inflammation and damage to surrounding tissues. In fact, within our living bodies, this very process happens constantly, shedding old skin cells, pruning unnecessary brain connections, ensuring our growth and health. So in death, it's merely amplified, the final grand performance of a mechanism that has always been a part of life. As this internal reorganization unfolds, another, perhaps less poetic but equally vital player enters the scene, the vast and diverse ecosystem of microorganisms that call our gut home. For our entire lives, these bacteria, fungi, and other tiny organisms exist in a delicate balance within us, often aiding digestion and even bolstering our immune system. But when the body's defenses falter and eventually cease, these internal residents, no longer contained or controlled, begin to spread. They migrate from the gut into the surrounding tissues, encountering an abundance of material that, for them, represents a feast. This marks the beginning of the decomposition process, where these microorganisms, now unconstrained, start to break down complex organic molecules into simpler forms. It's a natural and essential part of the cycle of life, returning the building blocks of our bodies back to the earth from which they came. It might sound stark, but consider it from nature's perspective. Nothing is truly wasted. Every atom, every molecule, is destined for a new purpose, a new form. Simultaneously, the body itself contributes to its own deconstruction through its internal chemical machinery. Our cells are packed with specialized proteins called enzymes, which are essentially biological catalysts, driving countless chemical reactions that sustain life. When a cell dies, the delicate membranes that compartmentalize these enzymes begin to break down. The enzymes, once meticulously contained, are released. These become the final conductors of our body's dismantling, initiating a process of self-digestion, where they begin to break down the very proteins, fats, and carbohydrates that once formed the intricate structures of our living being. It's almost as if the body, in its final act, performs its own internal alchemy, transforming itself from within. This is why, for a short period after death, tissues can become softer, more fluid, before the external forces of decay take over more visibly. It's a quiet internal erosion, a slow unfolding of inherent chemical processes that were always there, waiting for their final transformative moment. This entire process, from the tidy apoptosis to the work of microorganisms and the self-digestion by enzymes, is not a chaotic collapse, but an ordered progression. It is nature's way of recycling, of ensuring that the energy and matter that once formed us are not lost, but merely reassigned. It's a profound demonstration of the interconnectedness of all life, a whisper of the grand cosmic cycle where everything eventually returns to its origin, only to emerge in a new form. There's a certain peace in understanding this, isn't there? A sense that even in death there is purpose, there is movement, there is an ongoing vital process. And this leads us quite naturally to a deeper understanding, a realization that might seem paradoxical at first. The very process of death, this incredible journey of dissolution, is not an ending, but an integral, absolutely essential part of life itself. As we've journeyed through the body's final silent processes, a profound truth begins to emerge, one that might, at first glance, seem contradictory. Death is not merely an end, but an absolutely essential, intricate part of life itself. It's a concept that confronts our deepest fears, transforming the grim reaper into a quiet gardener, constantly pruning and shaping for the sake of growth and renewal. To truly grasp this, we need to shift our perspective, to see beyond the individual and understand the grand sweeping narrative of existence. Consider your own body, right here, right now, as you listen. Every single day, an astonishing number of cells, billions upon billions, are born, live out their purpose, and then die. Take your skin, for example. It feels consistent, unchanging, doesn't it? And yet, beneath the surface, your skin cells are locked in a relentless cycle of renewal. Old, worn-out cells at the surface flake away, invisible to the naked eye, making room for fresh, vibrant new ones to emerge from below. If those old cells clung on indefinitely, our skin would grow thick, rigid, and unable to perform its vital protective functions. So the death of those surface cells isn't a flaw, it's a feature, a fundamental mechanism for keeping our largest organ healthy and adaptive. And it doesn't stop at the skin. Your blood, the very river of life coursing through your veins, is entirely replenished every few months. Red blood cells, those tireless oxygen couriers, live for about 120 days before they're methodically retired and replaced. The cells lining your stomach, constantly exposed to harsh digestive acids, are renewed every few days. Even your bones, solid and seemingly unchanging, are constantly remodeling, with old bone cells being reabsorbed and new ones laid down. This ongoing, silent death of old cells and birth of new ones keeps our tissues and organs strong, efficient, and capable of adapting to the ever-changing demands of life. Without this ceaseless cellular turnover, without the inherent wisdom of knowing when it's time to step aside, our bodies would stagnate, break down, and ultimately fail long before they do. But death's role in life goes far beyond upkeep. It's foundational to our very creation. Think back to the first flickers of your existence, as a tiny embryo. In the earliest stages of development, a human hand doesn't begin with 5 distinct fingers. It starts as a paddle-like shape, almost like a little flipper. Only through the precise, orchestrated death of cells in specific areas, those in between where the fingers will be, does the web tissue get reabsorbed, revealing the distinct digits we recognize as fingers. This remarkable process, known as programmed cell death, or apoptosis, isn't a failure. It's the sculptor's chisel, carving out the intricate forms that define us. Without these local sacrifices of cells, our hands, feet, even the delicate contours of our internal organs couldn't take on their specialized functional shapes. Zoom out even further, to the vast canvas of evolution, and death becomes the very engine of transformation. Imagine a world where nothing ever died. There'd be no room for new life, no resources freed up for future generations. Species would continue unchanged, unevolving. Without death, there could be no natural selection, the force that drives evolution. The less adaptable would never make way for the stronger, the more resilient, the more innovative forms of life. It's this cycle of birth, life, and death that allows for genetic diversity, adaptation to changing environments, and the relentless push toward greater complexity and efficiency in the living world. The very idea of progress in biology is intimately tied to generational turnover, which depends at its core on death. So, when we look at it this way, death isn't the enemy we often imagine it to be. It's a fundamental collaborator, a quiet partner in the ongoing miracle of existence. It clears the way, recycles the old, and shapes the new. It makes room for the next breath, the next generation, the next breakthrough. It gives meaning to growth, to renewal, to the precious fragility of the moments we call life. Without this essential process, life as we know it, with all its vibrant diversity and astonishing adaptability, simply could not be. Having explored the biological realities of death and its irreplaceable role in the architecture of life, we now approach perhaps the most mysterious and deeply compelling aspect of this journey: the experiences shared by those who have stood at the edge of life and returned. These are the stories, often spoken in hushed, reverent tones, that seem to gesture towards something beyond the purely physical, something deeper, unseen, perhaps even transcendent. A fleeting glimpse of what might lie just beyond our reach. And more often than not, it begins with a light. We've explored the biological realities of death, understanding how it's not merely an end, but a vital part of life's grand cycle. Now, let's take a step beyond the purely physical, into a realm that has fascinated humankind for thousands of years, a place where the veil between life and whatever lies beyond grows thin. This is the world of near-death experiences, or NDEs, a phenomenon often marked by the profound sensation of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. It's been reported by millions across cultures, religions, and backgrounds, threading a shared narrative through countless personal journeys to the edge of existence and back. Picture, for a moment, a person lying on an operating table, their heart stopped, their brain registering only the faintest activity. Or someone involved in a devastating accident, teetering on the brink of life. Then, against all odds, they are revived. And when they awaken, they recount experiences that stretch the boundaries of conventional explanation. These aren't isolated anomalies. They form a strikingly consistent body of testimony, offering vivid, sometimes awe-inspiring glimpses into what it feels like to peer beyond the threshold of life. One of the most commonly described elements is the sensation of moving through a tunnel or a dark void, fast, often with an intense sense of speed. It's as if something is pulling them, almost magnetically, toward a destination. And at the end of that journey, or sometimes appearing within the tunnel itself, is a radiant, warm, inviting light. This isn't just any light. It's described as pure, boundless, enveloping, a kind of brilliance unlike anything seen in waking life. From this light emanates a powerful sense of peace, love, and deep understanding. It doesn't burn or blind. Instead, it calms, comforts, and draws them in with an irresistible gentleness. Accompanying this journey, many also report encountering loved ones who have passed, grandparents, parents, siblings, even beloved pets. These figures are often bathed in the same gentle, glowing light, and their presence carries an overwhelming sense of peace. The reunions are deeply emotional, marked by instant recognition and a kind of communication that goes beyond words. There's no need for language, only a profound soul-level connection, a feeling of being seen, fully known, and completely loved. Sometimes these loved ones offer guidance. Sometimes they are simply present, a reminder that someone familiar is waiting. But perhaps even more powerful than the imagery is the emotion, the extraordinary feeling of peace, of coming home. The fear, pain, and confusion of physical trauma seem to dissolve in this place, replaced by a sense of serenity that surpasses anything previously known. People describe feeling weightless, liberated from their physical form. The heaviness of earthly worries, the regrets, the stress, the grief vanishes. What remains is a state of overwhelming love, not just an absence of suffering, but the presence of joy, expansion, and belonging. For some, this home appears as a place, a sunlit meadow, a glowing city, a realm beyond earthly description. For others, it's simply a state of being, a return to something long forgotten but deeply familiar. Many NDEs also include a life review, a kind of panoramic, high-speed replay of their entire life. Every word, every action, every thought is re-experienced, not just from their own perspective, but from the perspective of those they affected. There's no external judgment, only an inner knowing, a clarity about how their choices rippled outward. Some describe feeling the pain they caused others, or the joy they shared, with a stunning intensity. This review is often described not as punishment, but as insight, an opportunity to truly understand oneself, often resulting in life-changing shifts in priorities if the person returns. Another widely reported element is the out-of-body experience. People describe floating above their physical form, looking down at themselves from above. They see the medical staff working, hear conversations, and notice small details of the room they couldn't have perceived in their unconscious state. The clarity of these experiences, the vividness and accuracy of the observations, has prompted intense debate about the nature of consciousness. Is awareness really confined to the brain? Or could there be more to our minds than neurons and synapses? What makes these stories so compelling isn't just their intensity, it's their consistency. People from every walk of life, atheists and the devout, children and elders, across every continent and creed, report strikingly similar experiences. The tunnel, the light, the presence of loved ones, the overwhelming peace, the life review. These shared themes raise profound questions. Why do so many unrelated people report the same journey? Could these be glimpses of a common human truth, a kind of map beyond death we all carry within us? Whether seen as spiritual awakenings or as intricate workings of the brain under extreme stress, NDEs undeniably change those who experience them. They return transformed, more peaceful, less afraid of death, and more connected to life. Many speak of newfound purpose, deeper compassion, and a reorientation toward love and meaning. And yet the question remains, what do these experiences truly signify? Are they echoes of an afterlife, or extraordinary hallucinations created by a dying brain? Can science, with all its tools and reason, truly explain what lies at the edge of death? This is where our exploration into the scientific dimensions of near-death experiences begins. We've just delved into the captivating world of near-death experiences, hearing the remarkably consistent stories of tunnels, lights, and profound peace. These accounts are undeniably powerful, often transforming the lives of those who experience them. But as we settle deeper into this quiet night, a natural question arises, especially for those of us who seek understanding through logic and evidence. How does science, with its tools of reason and observation, attempt to explain these extraordinary phenomena? Can the incredible narratives of NDEs be reconciled with our current understanding of the brain and body? Science approaches these experiences with a blend of curiosity and healthy skepticism, seeking to understand if there are underlying biological or neurological mechanisms that could account for the reported sensations. It's not about dismissing the profound impact these experiences have on individuals, but rather attempting to find a measurable, repeatable explanation within the framework of the physical world. Think of it like a detective trying to reconstruct a scene, looking for all the possible clues. One of the most widely discussed scientific explanations for the light at the end of the tunnel and other visual components of NDEs centers around oxygen deprivation to the brain, specifically the occipital lobe. This area at the back of your brain is responsible for processing visual information. When blood flow and oxygen supply to the brain dwindle, as they do during cardiac arrest, severe trauma, or fainting spells, the neurons in the occipital lobe can start to misfire. Imagine a television screen losing power. The image might distort, colors might swirl, or a bright spot might appear in the center as the signal weakens. Similarly, as the visual cortex loses oxygen, it can create the perception of a bright central light, sometimes surrounded by a darkening periphery, which could easily be interpreted as a tunnel. This isn't a new idea. Pilots experiencing G-lock, G-force-induced loss of consciousness, during extreme maneuvers have reported similar tunnel vision and bright lights due to blood rushing away from their brains. Beyond the visual, what about the overwhelming feelings of peace, joy, and detachment? Here, science points to the remarkable chemistry of our brains. Under extreme stress, trauma, or the very brink of death, the brain is known to release a potent cocktail of neurochemicals. Endorphins, often called the body's natural painkillers, are released in response to severe pain or stress, creating feelings of euphoria and reducing discomfort. Imagine a marathon runner's high, that blissful feeling despite physical exertion. In an NDE, this release could be far more intense, creating the profound sense of peace and freedom from pain. Another key player could be serotonin, a neurotransmitter that plays a crucial role in regulating mood, sleep, and well-being. Abnormal surges of serotonin have been linked to altered states of consciousness and even hallucinations. It's plausible that a massive, uninhibited release of serotonin as the brain functions aberrantly could contribute to the feelings of happiness, unity, and bliss reported during NDEs. Some researchers also point to the effects of ketamine, an anesthetic that, at sub-anesthetic doses, can induce feelings of detachment from the body, hallucinations, and even spiritual experiences, remarkably similar to NDE narratives. This suggests that certain chemical imbalances or neural firings could mimic the subjective experiences of leaving the body or entering another realm. The life review aspect of NDEs, where individuals recount seeing their entire lives flash before their eyes, also has potential neurological underpinnings. The temporal lobe, located on the side of the brain, is strongly associated with memory processing and emotional regulation. Electrical stimulation of certain areas of the temporal lobe during brain surgery has been known to trigger vivid, panoramic memories, sometimes even a sense of being out of body or experiencing spiritual insights. It's hypothesized that as the brain experiences a widespread cascade of electrical activity during a near-death event, the temporal lobe could be particularly activated, leading to these intensely realistic and emotionally charged memory recalls. Then there's the idea of the brain's final, desperate attempt to make sense of a chaotic and dying environment. Faced with a catastrophic shutdown, the brain, in its incredible capacity for self-preservation and narrative creation, might generate a comforting story or a best-case scenario to ease the transition. It's like a dream in its most vivid form, where the brain constructs an elaborate reality from fragmented information and deep-seated desires. The desire for peace, reunion with loved ones, and an end to suffering could manifest as these profound, seemingly spiritual visions. It's a compelling idea, suggesting that our consciousness, even at its breaking point, attempts to find meaning and solace. However, even with these intriguing scientific hypotheses, there are still many aspects of NDEs that remain a challenge to fully explain within purely materialistic frameworks. For instance, the detailed and verifiable out-of-body observations, where individuals describe specific events or objects they couldn't have physically perceived, still pose a significant hurdle. And the profound, consistent transformative effect on individuals, often leading to a diminished fear of death and a deepened sense of purpose, is difficult to attribute solely to a temporary neurological glitch. So, while science offers fascinating and plausible insights into some aspects of the near-death experience, there's still a lingering sense that the full picture might be more complex. The consistent narratives, the shared sense of more, hint at something beyond what our current scientific instruments can fully capture. Perhaps it's just the beginning of our understanding, a frontier where the known meets the profoundly unknown. And that leads us to wonder, could there be something deeper at play here? We've just touched upon how science tries to explain the remarkable phenomena of near-death experiences, offering compelling neurological and physiological theories for the visions of light, the feelings of peace, and the life reviews. And indeed, many of these explanations are incredibly insightful, shedding light on the brain's extraordinary ability to generate complex experiences under extreme stress. But as we sit here, in the quiet embrace of the late hours, listening to these profound stories, a whisper of a question often lingers. Is that all there is? Could there be something deeper at play? Something that, powerful as they are, our current scientific instruments simply can't yet fully grasp. Consider the sheer consistency of these accounts. Millions of people, from vastly different cultures, faiths, and walks of life, report strikingly similar experiences. While the personal details may differ, the core elements, the tunnel, the light, the overwhelming sense of peace and love, the reunions with deceased loved ones, the life review, resonate across continents and centuries. If these were simply the product of a malfunctioning brain in its final moments, wouldn't we expect far more randomness, more bizarre and unrepeatable hallucinations, rather than this coherent, universally recognizable narrative? It's almost as if there's a hidden script, one understood by some deep, innate part of our being, unfolding beneath the surface, regardless of our beliefs or upbringing. One of the most difficult aspects for purely biological explanations to fully account for is the phenomenon of veridical out-of-body experiences, OBEs. Think of those moments where individuals report floating above their bodies, watching medical procedures, or noticing details in a room that they couldn't have seen from their physical position. These aren't vague impressions. Sometimes they are uncannily specific. Imagine a patient declared clinically dead on the operating table, later recounting the exact conversation between the surgeons, or describing an object hidden on a high shelf that wasn't visible to them beforehand. These verifiable reports, confirmed later by medical staff, stretch the limits of what a brain, especially one shutting down, should be capable of. If the brain is oxygen-starved and in crisis, how could it simultaneously perceive the external world with such clarity and from a vantage point seemingly outside the body? It's here that the scientific frameworks, strong as they are in other domains, start to stumble, opening the door for deeper inquiry. Then there's the transformational power of these experiences. People who return from NDEs often come back deeply changed. Their fear of death diminishes, sometimes disappearing entirely. They frequently report a renewed sense of meaning, a profound appreciation for love and compassion, and a movement away from materialistic goals towards spiritual values. They might walk away from high-paying careers to engage in humanitarian work, devote more time to family, or embrace a deep connection with all forms of life. Can a mere neurological event, a hallucination triggered by chemical imbalances, reliably cause such lasting and radical changes in personality, values, and life direction? The depth and permanence of these changes suggest something more than a fleeting episode. They point to an encounter that reaches into the very center of the self, an experience that shifts one's understanding of reality itself. Some people even describe gaining foreknowledge, glimpses of future events that later unfold just as they saw them. Others claim to return with knowledge far beyond anything they previously knew, insights about the nature of the universe, the purpose of life, or their personal journey. While these elements are harder to verify through scientific means, they introduce another level of intrigue, hinting at a dimension of consciousness not bound by linear time or physical location. The scientific community, ever committed to uncovering truth, continues to explore these mysteries. NDEs are not being dismissed as fantasy. In fact, researchers are using advanced brain imaging and controlled studies to dig deeper into the neural roots of consciousness, especially at the edge of life. And yet, for many, the recurring themes, the verifiable perceptions, and the life-altering nature of these events point to something beyond what the brain alone can produce. Perhaps the brain isn't the sole source of consciousness. Perhaps it's more like a receiver, a filter, tuned into something greater, something more fundamental. Could these experiences be brief glimpses through a thin doorway into a realm that lies just beyond our waking perception? It's a haunting possibility, one that suggests our current understanding of existence may be far too narrow, bound by the limits of our senses and our scientific models. The consistent testimonies of those who've stood at the edge of death invite us to entertain the possibility that our journey and our consciousness may stretch far beyond the walls of this physical body. That maybe, just maybe, there's a continuity that extends beyond what we currently call the end. And that very idea of continuity, of change and transformation, brings us back to something we touched on earlier. Something happening inside of us every single day, silently and unseen, yet essential, the programmed death of our own selves. It's the microcosm of a larger truth, a quiet, constant surrender that makes the birth of new life possible. We've just touched upon how science attempts to explain the remarkable phenomena of near-death experiences, offering compelling neurological and physiological theories for the visions of light, the feelings of peace, and the life reviews. And indeed, many of these explanations are incredibly insightful, shedding light on the brain's extraordinary capacity to generate complex experiences under extreme duress. But as we sit here in the quiet embrace of the late hours, listening to these profound stories, a whisper of a question often remains. Is that all there is? Could there be something deeper at play? Something that our current scientific instruments, powerful as they are, simply can't yet fully grasp? Consider the sheer consistency of these narratives. Millions of people from vastly different cultures, faiths, and walks of life report remarkably similar experiences. While individual details might vary, the core elements, the tunnel, the light, the overwhelming sense of peace and love, the encounters with deceased loved ones, the life review, echo across continents and centuries. If these were solely the product of a dying brain malfunctioning, wouldn't we expect far greater randomness, more unique and idiosyncratic hallucinations, rather than such a coherent and universally recognizable set of themes? It's as if a grand, unseen script is being played out, understood by an intrinsic part of our being, regardless of our earthly beliefs or conditioning. Perhaps one of the most challenging aspects for purely biological explanations to fully account for is the phenomenon of veridical out-of-body experiences, OBEs. Remember those instances where individuals reported floating above their physical bodies, observing medical procedures, or specific details of a room that they couldn't possibly have known from their physical vantage point? These aren't vague impressions. Sometimes they are startlingly precise. Imagine a patient clinically dead on the operating table, later recounting the exact conversation between the surgeons, or describing an object placed on a high shelf that was out of their line of sight before the event. These verifiable details, later confirmed by medical staff, push the boundaries of what a brain-centric consciousness could reasonably achieve. If the brain is shutting down, starved of oxygen, how can it simultaneously perceive external reality with such heightened clarity and accuracy, often from a perspective outside the body it supposedly inhabits? This is where the scientific explanations, while robust in other areas, sometimes falter, leaving room for deeper inquiry. Then there's the transformative power of these experiences. Individuals who have undergone NDEs often return profoundly changed. Their fear of death is significantly diminished, sometimes even completely eradicated. They frequently report a heightened sense of purpose, a deepened appreciation for love and compassion, and a shift away from materialistic values towards spiritual ones. They might leave high-paying jobs to pursue humanitarian work, dedicate themselves to their families, or embrace a newfound sense of interconnectedness with all living things. Can a mere neurological event, a dream caused by oxygen deprivation, consistently lead to such fundamental and lasting shifts in personality, values, and life trajectories? The depth and permanence of these changes suggest something more than a fleeting hallucination. They suggest an encounter that touches the very core of one's being, altering their understanding of reality itself. Some who have returned from the brink even describe gaining foreknowledge or precognitive insights, seeing glimpses of future events that later unfold precisely as they witnessed. Others recount receiving profound, insightful knowledge about the universe, about life's purpose, or about their own personal journey, knowledge that transcends their prior education or understanding. These elements, while harder to scientifically verify, add another layer of intrigue, hinting at a dimension of consciousness that may not be entirely bound by linear time or physical space. The scientific community, in its rigorous pursuit of truth, continues to explore these perplexing aspects. Researchers are not dismissing NDEs as mere fantasy. Rather, they are using advanced brain imaging techniques and controlled studies to delve deeper into the neural correlates of consciousness, even at the edge of life. Yet for many, the consistent themes, the verifiable external perceptions, and the profound, life-altering impact of NDEs suggest that while the brain is undoubtedly involved in mediating consciousness, it might not be the sole generator of it. Perhaps consciousness is not merely an emergent property of the brain, but something more fundamental, something that can exist, or at least experience, even when the brain is severely compromised. Could it be that these experiences are glimpses through a fragile doorway, a peek into a reality that usually remains hidden from our waking minds? It's a thought that resonates deeply, suggesting that our understanding of existence might be far too limited, confined by our physical senses and our current scientific paradigms. The consistent reports from those who have touched the edge of death invite us to consider the possibility that our journey, and indeed our consciousness, might extend beyond the bounds of our physical bodies, perhaps hinting at a continuity that transcends what we conventionally call the end. And this very notion of continuity of transformation brings us back to something we touched upon earlier, something happening within us every single day, quietly, unseen, yet profoundly essential: the programmed death of our own cells. It's a microcosmic version of this larger theme, a constant, silent surrender that ensures the very possibility of new life within us. We've just touched upon the silent, ceaseless process of apoptosis, that pre-programmed cellular farewell that unfolds billions of times a day within us. It's a remarkable testament to the body's innate wisdom. But now, let's go deeper. Let's explore why this happens, the profound truth that cells die not because they fail, but because they serve. Their death is not defeat. It's an essential act of service, preserving the vitality and survival of the entire organism. It's a truth that turns our conventional view of death upside down, revealing it as a vital companion in the ongoing miracle of life. Picture your body as a dynamic, ever-shifting landscape. It's not a static monument, but a living, breathing, regenerating system. Take your skin, for example. Every few weeks, you're wearing an entirely new outer layer of skin cells. The old ones, having completed their role as a protective barrier, quietly slough off, making space for new, more resilient cells to rise from below. This isn't a flaw, it's brilliant design. If those worn-out skin cells refused to die and detach, they would pile up, growing thick, brittle, and ineffective. Your skin wouldn't breathe properly, wouldn't regulate temperature, and couldn't guard you from the world outside. So the death of those surface cells is not something to mourn. It's a necessary step for continuous renewal, keeping your skin healthy, supple, and strong. This same principle echoes deep within you, across every organ and tissue. Consider your blood. Red blood cells, those vibrant, tireless couriers of oxygen, live for about 120 days. After countless journeys through your body, delivering oxygen and collecting carbon dioxide, they begin to wear down. That's when they receive the signal for apoptosis, stepping aside with quiet grace. Specialized cells in the spleen and liver recycle their components. Meanwhile, your bone marrow produces fresh red blood cells to carry on the mission. If those old cells never died, your bloodstream would clog with inefficiency, putting your health in danger. Their programmed death ensures that the engine of your circulation runs clean and strong, fueling every corner of your body. Apoptosis also plays a crucial role in defending you. Your immune system produces a huge army of immune cells to battle infection. But once a threat is defeated, many of these cells need to go. If they stayed active too long, they might start attacking your own healthy tissues, causing inflammation or even autoimmune diseases. So after completing their task, they undergo apoptosis, clearing the field and keeping the immune response sharp and focused. Their timely exit ensures that your defenses remain precise, powerful, and safe. And perhaps most critical of all is apoptosis's role in stopping unchecked growth, the kind we see in cancer. At its heart, a cancer cell is often one that has forgotten how to die. It ignores all the body's signals to stop, keeps dividing, and becomes immortal in a way that endangers everything around it. This single rogue cell can grow into a tumor, invading and disrupting everything in its path. Apoptosis acts like a quality control system designed to catch and eliminate cells that are damaged, dysfunctional, or dangerous. When this system fails, the results can be catastrophic. The ability of a cell to recognize its time, to know when it has reached the end of its purpose, is one of the body's greatest safeguards. So, when we truly understand these processes, we begin to see cellular death not as a tragedy, but as a triumph of biological intelligence. It's a rhythm of pruning and renewal, of endings that make room for fresh beginnings. Billions of tiny lives end each day inside you, not in vain, but in service of something far greater. They keep the symphony of your body alive and harmonious. It's a profound lesson in sacrifice for the greater good, a reminder that what ends at one level must do so for something else to begin. And this exquisite dance of life and death at the cellular level, this constant remodeling and renewal, is not just about function. It's also about form. It's how we as intricate beings are sculpted from simplicity. We've been exploring the quiet, continuous work of cellular death within us, understanding how billions of cells graciously make way for new ones, ensuring our body's vitality and defense. But now, let's turn our attention to an even more profound, almost artistic aspect of this process. How cellular death is absolutely essential for the very formation and maintenance of our body's intricate shape and structure. Without it, we wouldn't be the distinct, differentiated beings we are. We would be formless, or perhaps something entirely different. To truly grasp this, we need to go back to the very beginning, to the earliest moments of our existence as a developing embryo. Imagine a tiny, miraculous cluster of cells, dividing rapidly, forming what initially looks like a simple, undifferentiated mass. It's a marvel of rapid growth. But how does this shapeless blob transform into a complex organism with distinct limbs, organs, and features? This is where the exquisite choreography of programmed cell death, apoptosis, steps onto the stage as a master sculptor. Consider the development of your hand, a complex and versatile tool. When you were just a tiny embryo, a few weeks old, your hand didn't emerge as 5 distinct fingers and a thumb. Instead, it started as a solid, paddle-shaped structure, almost like a tiny flipper, with a continuous sheet of tissue between where your fingers would eventually be. If every single cell in that paddle simply kept dividing and living, your hand would remain a webbed, fin-like appendage, much like the foot of a duck or the flipper of a frog. You wouldn't be able to grasp, write, or perform any of the intricate movements you do effortlessly now. It is precisely at this critical stage of development that apoptosis intervenes with incredible precision. Cells in the areas between your developing fingers receive a genetic signal, a quiet command to initiate their programmed demise. They undergo that tidy, internal dismantling we discussed, effectively disappearing and being reabsorbed by the surrounding tissues. It's as if an invisible, microscopic laser cutter meticulously carves out the spaces, separating the individual digits. This controlled cellular sacrifice is what allows your fingers to emerge as distinct articulated structures, giving your hand its unique and functional form. Without this orchestrated death, your hands would quite literally be shapeless, or at least shaped very differently. This principle of sculpting by dying isn't limited to our hands and feet. It's a fundamental mechanism at play throughout embryonic development, shaping nearly every organ and tissue. Think about the formation of your brain with its intricate folds and connections, or the precise development of your eyes and ears. Many embryonic structures that are necessary at one stage become redundant or even obstructive later on. For instance, temporary structures like the pronephros, a rudimentary kidney, or certain embryonic ducts simply disappear through apoptosis when they are no longer needed, making way for the development of permanent, functional organs. It's almost like a sculptor working with clay. To create a defined form, the artist doesn't just add clay, they also carefully remove it, chipping away, shaping, and refining until the desired contours emerge. Similarly, the developing body uses both the addition of new cells, cell division, and the precise removal of old or unnecessary cells, apoptosis, to achieve its perfectly formed structure. It's a delicate balance, a testament to the incredible efficiency and foresight embedded within our genetic code. And this sculpting doesn't stop at birth. Even in adulthood, apoptosis continues to play a vital role in maintaining the precise size and shape of our organs and tissues. If, for instance, cells in a certain organ multiplied excessively without a corresponding rate of programmed death, that organ would grow uncontrollably, leading to dysfunction or disease. Apoptosis acts as a cellular housekeeper, ensuring that the number of cells remains balanced, that tissues maintain their appropriate density, and that organs retain their optimal size and form. It's a constant, silent process of refinement, preventing overgrowth and ensuring that every part of our body remains perfectly proportioned and functional. So the next time you look at your hand or marvel at the intricate design of any living creature, remember the silent, artistic work of apoptosis. It's the unsung hero, the invisible sculptor, whose very act of death allows for the precise, beautiful, and functional forms that define life as we know it. It teaches us that endings, even at the smallest cellular level, are often the very prerequisite for the most magnificent creations and the continuous flow of life. And this constant renewal, this shedding of the old to embrace the new, is not just about form. It's about the very essence of what it means to be alive, constantly transforming and regenerating. It's a testament to the incredible resilience and adaptability of our physical selves, a continuous journey of becoming new every single day. We've explored the silent, precise artistry of cellular death, how it sculpts our very form and keeps us healthy. Now, let's flip the coin and marvel at the other side of this magnificent dance. The astonishing capacity of your body to regenerate, to literally become new again every single day. This isn't just a metaphor, it's a profound biological reality. The you sitting here listening tonight is not entirely the same you who woke up this morning, let alone the person you were a few years ago. Picture your body not as a static machine, but as a constantly flowing river, with old water being endlessly replaced by new. This breathtaking process of renewal unfolds continuously beneath your awareness, making you a living masterpiece of ongoing creation. It's one of biology's most comforting and awe-inspiring truths, a testament to life's relentless drive to rebuild and refresh itself. Let's begin with your blood, the very current of your life. Those vivid red blood cells, as we've discussed, are tireless oxygen carriers, coursing through your veins and arteries every second. They live for about 120 days. That means every 4 months or so, your entire supply of red blood cells is brand new. Think about that for a moment. The blood flowing through you right now is essentially different from the blood that moved through your body just a season ago. It's a complete turnover, keeping your vital transport system efficient and strong. Then there's your skin, your largest organ, your outermost shield. It faces the world directly, bombarded daily by sun, wind, friction, and microbes. Yet it doesn't wear out. Why? Because your skin cells are always renewing. The outer layer of your skin completely regenerates every 2 to 3 weeks. Old cells slough off invisibly, while fresh ones rise to the surface from below. This ceaseless cycle ensures your skin remains strong, adaptable, and resilient, a remarkable, self-sustaining barrier that's always rebuilding itself. Even your bones, solid and seemingly unchanging, are in constant motion. They're not dead structures, but living tissue, continuously broken down and rebuilt. Special cells called osteoclasts dissolve old bone, while osteoblasts lay down new bone. This process, called bone remodeling, takes years for a full turnover. So while your bones change more slowly than your skin or blood, the skeleton you have today isn't made of exactly the same material it was a decade ago. This living system allows your bones to repair, strengthen, and adapt to the physical demands of your life. Consider your gut lining, the fragile interface where your body absorbs nutrients. It's exposed to harsh digestive acids and enzymes, experiencing intense wear and tear. That's why these cells regenerate incredibly fast, completely replacing themselves every few days. This rapid turnover keeps digestion efficient and helps protect your inner world from harmful invaders. Even in your brain, once thought to be fixed after childhood, we now know that new neurons can form in specific regions throughout life. In places like the hippocampus, which is crucial for learning and memory, neurogenesis happens continuously. While this doesn't mean your entire brain is being replaced, it suggests your most complex organ has a quiet, persistent ability to renew itself too. So what does this mean for you? It means you're a being in flux. The physical you from 5 years ago, or even 1 year ago, is not the same person sitting here tonight. The atoms and molecules that once made up your cells have largely moved on. You are, quite literally, always becoming someone new. This isn't just a biological reality. It carries something beautifully poetic. The idea that every day is a fresh beginning. That each sunrise brings not just new light, but a new version of you, rebuilt, refreshed, and ready for the world. This extraordinary power of self-renewal leads us to a deeper question. If our bodies are always regenerating, are there creatures out there that have taken this ability even further? Perhaps even mastered the art of reversing time, defying death? In our next journey, we'll step into the mysterious world of organisms that stretch the limits of life and challenge everything we thought we knew about aging, renewal, and what it truly means to live. We've been captivated by the silent, ceaseless regeneration happening within our own bodies, a constant renewal that makes you a different physical being from month to month, year to year. This incredible capacity for self-repair and replacement naturally leads us to wonder. If our bodies can regenerate so effectively, are there creatures out there that have found a way to truly cheat death, to essentially achieve a form of immortality? As the night deepens, let's drift into the fascinating world of beings that seem to defy the very concept of aging and mortality, pushing the boundaries of what we understand about life's ultimate limits. The idea of immortality has long been a dream of humanity, a quest for the fountain of youth. And while true, absolute immortality, living forever without any change or breakdown, might remain in the realm of myth, nature has certainly conjured up some astonishing close approximations, offering tantalizing glimpses into what radical regeneration can achieve. Perhaps the most famous contender for biological immortality is the tiny, delicate Turritopsis dohrnii, often called the immortal jellyfish. Imagine a creature that, once it reaches sexual maturity, can simply choose to revert to its juvenile polyp stage when faced with environmental stress or injury. It's like a butterfly deciding to become a caterpillar again, or a chicken returning to an egg. This jellyfish achieves this feat through a process called transdifferentiation, where its mature cells can transform into other types of cells, essentially allowing it to reset its life cycle. It can do this repeatedly, theoretically living forever, if not for predation or disease. It's not truly immortal in the sense that it can't be killed, but it can avoid dying of old age. This tiny, pulsating being offers a profound counter-narrative to our typical understanding of linear aging, suggesting that some life forms have evolved the ultimate escape clause from mortality. But the wonders don't stop there. Consider the humble planarian flatworm. If you cut a planarian into several pieces, each piece, if it contains enough key cells, can regenerate into a complete, fully functional new flatworm. It's an almost mythical ability, as if you could cut off your finger and watch it grow into a whole new you. These worms possess an extraordinary abundance of stem cells, those magical, undifferentiated cells that have the capacity to become any type of cell in the body. This immense reservoir of stem cells, coupled with sophisticated genetic programming for regeneration, allows them to replace lost body parts, repair extensive damage, and seemingly defy senescence, or biological aging. While they don't live forever in the wild due to environmental hazards, their cellular machinery suggests an incredible potential for continuous self-repair, hinting at a biological blueprint for sustained existence. These examples, the immortal jellyfish and the regenerating flatworm, point to the crucial role of stem cells in the broader concept of regeneration. Stem cells are like the master artisans within our bodies, holding the potential to become any specialized cell: a heart cell, a brain cell, a skin cell. Our own bodies, as we've discussed, utilize stem cells every day for repair and renewal, albeit in a more limited capacity than these seemingly immortal creatures. Bone marrow stem cells constantly produce new blood cells. Skin stem cells replenish our outer layer. The very existence of these undifferentiated cells within us is a whisper of that grander regenerative potential, a hint of the deep well of renewal that life inherently possesses. The study of these extraordinary creatures, along with the continuous discoveries about stem cells in more complex organisms, is truly revolutionizing medicine. The field of regenerative medicine aims to harness these inherent capacities to repair or replace damaged tissues and organs in humans. Imagine a future where we could regenerate a failing heart, regrow severed nerves, or repair a damaged spinal cord, not through transplants, but by activating our own latent regenerative abilities, or by using stem cells to coax the body into healing itself in ways previously thought impossible. These scientific endeavors, inspired by nature's most resilient beings, are transforming our understanding of health, disease, and the very boundaries of life and death. So, while we humans, with our complex bodies and predetermined lifespans, may not achieve true immortality in the way a jellyfish can, these creatures remind us that life is far more adaptable, far more capable of renewal than we often assume. They challenge our linear perception of time and decay, suggesting that transformation, rather than definitive end, is a core principle of existence. They are living proofs that within the very fabric of life lies an incredible, inherent drive to rebuild, renew, and persist. And this persistent drive, this endless capacity for renewal, brings us to a profound philosophical realization that every ending, every dissolution, every death carries within it the seed of a new beginning, a fresh opportunity for life to start anew in countless forms and contexts. Having journeyed from the microscopic regeneration within us to the seemingly immortal creatures of the deep, we now arrive at a profound, overarching truth. Regeneration, at its heart, is about the concept of starting anew. It's a cyclical dance, where endings aren't absolute, but rather preludes to fresh beginnings. This idea flows through every level of existence, from the tiniest cell to the vast scale of the cosmos, offering a gentle perspective on change, loss, and life's ever-unfolding nature. Think about nature, our greatest teacher. When autumn comes, the leaves on the trees, once vibrant and full of life, begin to wither, shift in color, and eventually fall. To our human eyes, this may feel like a melancholy ending, a season of fading. Yet beneath the surface, something essential is happening. Those fallen leaves don't simply disappear. They break down, returning their nutrients to the earth. They become rich, dark soil, nourishing the roots of the very tree they once clung to, and fueling the birth of countless new plants and organisms in the spring. The death of a leaf is quite literally the life of the soil, providing the raw ingredients for the next cycle of growth. Without that breakdown, without this returning of matter to the earth, the forest floor would grow sterile. The vibrant explosion of spring would never come. It's a perfect, elegant system of renewal and recycling. This principle repeats throughout the natural world. When an ancient tree falls in the forest, opening a gap in the canopy, it might seem like a loss, but that very clearing allows sunlight to reach the forest floor, giving space for young saplings to stretch upward. The fallen trunk, slowly decaying, becomes home to insects, fungi, and new plants, laying the foundation for a fresh ecosystem. The end of one life becomes the soil for 1,000 others. It's nature's way, constant transformation, growth from what once was. And what about within ourselves, beyond biology? The concept of starting anew is deeply embedded in the human experience. We go through countless small deaths throughout our lives. The end of a relationship, the loss of a job, the closing of a chapter. These events often feel like the end of the world, leaving us drifting, unsure of what comes next. But so often, it's in those moments of loss, of surrender, that something new finds its way in. The ache of a broken heart can lead to self-discovery and ultimately to deeper, more genuine connections. The failure of a long-held dream might give birth to a different path, one we never expected. It's in the quiet aftermath of these personal endings that we often rediscover ourselves, grow stronger, wiser, and more whole. Think about the human spirit's astonishing resilience. When faced with deep trauma, grief, or hardship, the initial feeling is devastation, a sense that something within us has died. And yet, over time, with reflection, and often with the support of others, many people find their way back. They heal, they rebuild, they thrive, not by erasing the pain, but by integrating it, transforming it into a source of wisdom and strength. This process, often called post-traumatic growth, is a kind of rebirth. It's not about pretending the loss didn't happen. It's about learning to live with it, to carry it, and to let it shape a new, meaningful version of our lives. This deep truth, that endings are the soil for beginnings, has been echoed in spiritual traditions for millennia. From beliefs in reincarnation to ideas of the soul continuing its journey, many ancient philosophies hold that life moves in cycles. While science doesn't confirm or deny these beliefs, it's striking how the biological truths we've explored, from cell renewal to the rebirth of ecosystems, mirror these ancient ideas. Nature itself seems to whisper the same message. Nothing ever truly vanishes. It only changes form. Energy is preserved. Matter cycles endlessly. Even what feels like an ending becomes the beginning of something else. And so as we wrap up this nighttime reflection, we're left with one quiet, beautiful thought: that the universe itself is a master of transformation. Every ending is an opening. Every loss, a new possibility. The leaf falls. It becomes soil. It feeds the tree. Old cells die. New ones are born. The body stays alive. The heartbreak, the failure, the grief all create the space for something new to take root. And this brings us to the final idea of the night, that even after our personal journey comes to its final physical close, something of us, some part of what we are, continues on. Not in a flash of magic, but in a quiet, undeniable way. A continuation, a transformation, a soft echo that reminds us nothing, not even us, ever truly disappears. We've journeyed through the intricate dance of life and death, from the microscopic ballet within our cells to the awe-inspiring regeneration found in nature. We've even brushed against the quiet wisdom that every ending carries within it, the seed of a new beginning. And now, as the night deepens and a gentle hush settles around us, let's pause to reflect on one final, comforting thought. Even after our individual physical journey comes to an end, something of us persists, endures, and remains. This isn't about magic or fantasy. It's about the subtle yet profound ways in which our existence in its truest form never fully disappears. Picture for a moment the atoms and molecules that make up your body right now. They've been on a breathtaking journey across time, flowing through countless forms and functions. The carbon in your skin might once have been part of an ancient tree. The oxygen you're breathing right now might have passed through the lungs of a dinosaur millions of years ago. We are, in the most literal sense, made of stardust, composed of elements forged in ancient suns. And those elements are destined to continue their cosmic voyage long after our own spark of life has dimmed. When the body returns to the earth, it doesn't simply vanish. It undergoes a remarkable transformation. A rich, natural process of decomposition that releases its elements back into the great tapestry of the planet. The carbon, nitrogen, phosphorus, and countless other elements that made you return to the soil, the air, and the water. They nourish plants, become building blocks for microorganisms, and eventually, maybe centuries or millennia later, help form entirely new life. Your very molecules become part of nature's ongoing cycle. It's not disappearance, it's reintegration, a quiet rejoining of the universal rhythm. Matter and energy are never lost, they only change form. Now think about your DNA, that elegant double helix that carries the blueprint of your being. This extraordinary molecule is incredibly resilient. Long after the softer parts of the body have faded, DNA can remain, sometimes for thousands, even tens of thousands of years, preserved in fossils or frozen environments. Scientists today extract and analyze ancient DNA from Neanderthals, woolly mammoths, and long-extinct plants, allowing us to piece together the great narrative of life on Earth. In the same way, a small, invisible strand of your unique genetic code could persist, an echo of your biological identity, long after your story has ended. It's a powerful reminder of how deeply life encodes memory. Even your final breath carries a kind of endurance. That last exhale, made of carbon dioxide and other gases, joins the atmosphere, mingling with the air around you. Those carbon atoms, once part of your living body, may be drawn into a tree's leaves through photosynthesis. They may become part of the wood, or perhaps find their way into another living creature's lungs. It's a quiet, graceful exchange, a final gift to the shared breath of the world. It reminds us that we are never truly separate from nature, but woven into its cycles, inextricably linked through every breath and every molecule. So while our individual spark of awareness may pass on, the building blocks of our being do not vanish into the void. They are recycled, transformed, and reabsorbed into Earth's vast living systems. It's a form of endurance that is grounded not in myth, but in science, a quiet, elegant continuity that offers its own kind of peace. But beyond the physical, beyond atoms, molecules, and breath, there is another, perhaps even more profound way in which we endure. It's found not in what we're made of, but in what we leave behind in the hearts, minds, and lives of others, in the connections we forge, in the memories we inspire, in the impact we have, however small, on the people and the world around us. This is the true legacy of being, not carved in stone or written in code, but felt in the warmth of a remembered laugh, the echo of a kind word, the influence of a life lived with meaning. It continues long after our bodies return to the earth, long after our atoms drift into the wind. It is in this way that we live on, in the invisible, enduring imprint of love, of presence, of humanity. We've just pondered the quiet, physical persistence of our very atoms, returning to the grand cosmic dance after our individual journeys conclude. But as the stillness of the night deepens, let's explore a form of persistence that resonates even more profoundly within our hearts and minds. The enduring power of memories and the ripples of influence we leave behind, ensuring that, in a deeply meaningful way, we never truly disappear. This isn't about science or particles. It's about the indelible mark we leave on the lives of others and the world around us. Think about someone you loved who has passed away. Do they truly vanish? No. They continue to live within you, don't they? They exist in the vivid tapestry of your memories, the sound of their laughter, the comfort of their touch, the wisdom of their advice. You might recall a shared joke that still brings a smile to your face, or a difficult moment where their strength lifted you up. These memories aren't static photographs. They are living echoes, brought to life each time you revisit them. They shape your reactions, inform your decisions, and continue to guide you in subtle ways, long after the person's physical presence is gone. It's a profound truth that memory is not just a recollection of the past, but a living connection to those who are no longer with us. In this way, they continue to walk beside us, influencing our present and shaping our future. Beyond individual memories, our actions and words create lasting influences that spread far and wide, often in ways we can never fully comprehend. Imagine a kind word you spoke to a stranger that brightened their day, or a piece of advice you gave a friend that helped them navigate a difficult choice. These seemingly small acts don't end with the immediate interaction. They ripple outwards, touching other lives, inspiring further acts of kindness, or empowering new decisions. A teacher's passion might ignite a lifelong love of learning in a student, who then goes on to inspire hundreds more. A parent's dedication shapes a child, who then raises their own children with similar values, passing on a legacy across generations. In this intricate web of human connection, our influence becomes a part of the collective narrative, woven into the fabric of society, continuing to unfold long after our personal story has physically concluded. Consider also the ideas we contribute to the world. A scientist's groundbreaking discovery, an artist's moving masterpiece, a philosopher's profound insights, or even a simple, clever solution to an everyday problem. These ideas, once shared, take on a life of their own. They are discussed, debated, built upon, and integrated into the collective knowledge and culture of humanity. They can spark revolutions, inspire movements, or simply make daily life a little bit better for millions. The creators of these ideas may pass on, but their intellectual and creative legacies endure, living on in textbooks, art galleries, symphonies, and the countless innovations that shape our modern world. In this sense, ideas truly can be immortal, transcending their original authors and continuing to impact humanity for centuries. Think about the legacy you might be building, perhaps unknowingly, right now. Every act of compassion, every moment of genuine connection, every piece of wisdom shared, every challenge overcome that inspires another. These are all ways in which your presence leaves an enduring imprint. It's not just about grand achievements. It's about the quiet, consistent ways you touch the lives of those around you. The comfort you bring to a loved one in distress, the encouragement you offer a struggling colleague, the values you instill in your children. These are the threads that weave your ongoing story into the lives of others. The beauty of this form of persistence is its organic, flowing nature. It's not a static monument, but a dynamic, evolving presence within the collective consciousness. It speaks to the fundamental interconnectedness of all humanity, illustrating that no individual existence is truly isolated. We are all part of a larger stream, and our lives, our experiences, and our influences contribute to its continuous flow. The love we give, the lessons we teach, the kindness we share, these become a part of the enduring fabric of reality, a living legacy that defies the physical boundaries of life and death. So, when we reflect on the question of disappearance, the answer becomes remarkably comforting. While our physical forms return to the earth, the essence of who we are, the unique imprint we leave, continues to resonate. It lives in the laughter of our loved ones, the wisdom passed down through generations, and the subtle shifts we inspire in the hearts and minds of others. It's a profound testament to the enduring power of connection, proving that, in a very real and beautiful sense, we don't vanish at all. This understanding naturally leads us to a broader, more encompassing perspective on death itself, not as an ultimate ending, but as a profound transition. It suggests that perhaps the finality we often associate with death is merely a perception, and that life, in its grandest design, is an endless dance of transformation. We've shared a quiet journey tonight, exploring the intricate biological dance of life and death, the mysteries of near-death experiences, and the subtle yet profound ways our essence persists through memory and influence. As our conversation draws to a close, and the world outside rests in the deep embrace of night, let's settle on a final, encompassing thought, one that weaves all these threads together into a tapestry of understanding. Perhaps death isn't a finality, a stark end, but simply another magnificent form of transformation. This idea might feel comforting, even liberating in its simplicity. It asks us to look beyond the rigid boundaries we've often placed around life and death, and to see them instead as two inseparable phases of a continuous flowing process. Imagine a single drop of rain. Does it truly die when it falls from the sky? No, it transforms. It might become part of a river flowing towards the sea. It might be absorbed by the roots of a mighty tree, becoming part of its living structure. It might evaporate back into the atmosphere, reforming into a cloud to fall as rain once more. The drop of water doesn't cease to exist. It simply changes its form, its location, and its role within the larger system. This gentle understanding applies to everything, including us. When we speak of something dying, we often imply cessation, an absolute end to existence. But what if, like the raindrop, we are simply undergoing a profound shift, a transition from one state of being to another? The atoms that form our bodies, as we've discussed, are not destroyed. They simply return to the earth, the air, the water, becoming raw material for new life. Our genetic blueprint, our DNA, can persist for millennia, a silent testament to our biological story. And the echoes of our presence, the memories we leave, the influences we cast, the ideas we share, continue to ripple outwards, shaping the world long after our physical departure. Consider the leaf that falls from a tree in autumn, beautiful in its final blaze of color. Is that truly the end? No. That leaf will return to the soil, break down, and enrich the earth. Its nutrients will be drawn up by the roots of the very same tree, or perhaps a new sapling, contributing to the vibrant growth of the next spring. The death of the leaf isn't destruction. It's a profound act of recycling, a transformation that fuels new life. It's a natural, elegant system where nothing is truly lost, only repurposed and renewed. This perspective invites us to see ourselves not as isolated, ephemeral entities, but as integral parts of a vast, interconnected universe. Our individual lives are like single waves on an infinite ocean. Each wave rises, crests, and then gently folds back into the ocean itself. Does the wave die? Or does it simply rejoin the vastness from which it came, its energy and essence becoming one with the whole, ready to rise again in a new form, a new expression? This isn't about escaping death, but about reframing it. It's about recognizing the inherent flow of existence, where every ending is simultaneously a beginning, every dissolution a prelude to a new emergence. It allows us to approach the inevitable with a sense of wonder rather than dread, seeing it not as a void, but as a gateway to another state of being, a participation in the grand cosmic dance of perpetual renewal. So, as we conclude our intimate conversation, perhaps this is the most comforting whisper of all. You don't disappear. You simply transform into another form, like rain becoming a river, like fallen leaves becoming rich earth, like a whisper, becoming a dream in the night. Thank you for listening, for joining me on this gentle exploration into the heart of life and its mysterious companion. Perhaps you drifted off somewhere between these stories, or maybe you're still wide awake, lost in thought about a loved one who has passed on. Whichever it may be, I want you to hold on to this truth. Death is not something to fear. Because of it, life gains its profound meaning. And sometimes death is simply the universe's way of saying, it's time for you to rest, to begin anew, in a different form, on another day. Sleep well. I hope to meet you again in another gentle conversation, in a place where knowledge and dreams always await you.